What's up, guys? Pete Dupuis back with another edition of FitBiz Thursday. This week I'm going to explain to you why we don't list our prices on the internet. This is more about salesmanship than it is about pricing strategy. And I've written about it in the past, and I like to use an analogy from an interview I heard with Bill Belichick once, where he explained that there are two different types of organizations in their league. They're the ones who qualify as game planners, so ones who specifically outline a very unique plan of attack from one week to the next that's meant to exploit the inefficiencies or shortcomings of the opposition, and it requires that you be a little bit nimble, you modify. Maybe you're throwing the ball a lot in one week, and then the next you happen to be very run heavy, and that's just because there's an opportunity in front of you to modify your approach from one week to the next to be successful. Then there are the people that he referred to as the do what we doers, and those are the guys who line it up and they just do what they do best. They're predictable in nature, but they're so good at what they do that they can get away with it. When it comes to selling, I'm of the mentality that it's better to be a game planner than it is to be a do what we doer. And so today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I do not put our prices on the internet so that I can game plan a little more effectively in each sales pitch. The first reason I don't put our prices on the internet is because regardless of price, our prospective clients often have no idea what they really need. It's very easy for someone to come to the conclusion that they need maybe our strength camp model, when in reality they've got a very unique injury history, or they've got specific training objectives that are not going to be met in a class that is very metabolic conditioning heavy. So when somebody sees the pricing structure and they tell themselves a story, they basically build a model in their head where they've come to a conclusion that they need one of our very many services, they can be misplaced on day one and leave feeling dissatisfied. So I want to get people on the phone and ask the appropriate questions that are going to allow me to categorize them into certain pools of potential clients and push them in the direction of a service model that is most appropriate for them. And this does not mean specifically upselling. There are a lot of scenarios where people come to me with needs that are going to complement our strength camps that are much more affordable in the mornings, far better than they would in an afternoon or private training format. And I'm happy to push them in that direction because I know that there's a great lifetime value of a client who is appropriately fit with our services, whereas putting somebody in the highest price point possible on day one because I can doesn't mean that they're going to be happy for very long, and they're going to realize that they don't need to spend so much to get what they need, and we're probably going to lose that business. So it's important that I game plan these sales pitches on day one to make sure that people are as appropriately as possible fit into our service offering when they come through the door. And again, just having prices on the internet without being able to have a conversation and explain the differences between each of our services really limits my ability to do so. The second reason our pricing structure isn't easily available without a phone call or an email to me is that I find most potential clients haven't really done their homework. And it's very common for people to get so caught up in the idea that they can get a $10 monthly membership to Planet Fitness and think to themselves, well, that's a fitness facility. Cressy Sports Performance is also a fitness facility. What am I doing paying 10x that or more, even just on day one to get through the door? And it's important that I have an opportunity to explain to them the differences because people don't often realize that a personal training session at the Boston Sports Club down the road from us is actually far more expensive than coming to do some semi-private training with us. We're going to get quality supervision, you're going to get 100% individualized training material, and you're going to get all of the perks of personal training with a better social component in a fantastically equipped gym with a great training environment. So I need to sell. My prices can't be the only thing that sells what we do, and I need to make sure that people fully understand what they're investing in, because on first look, all we are is a crazy overpriced place that happens to train professional athletes, and that's really not what we are, but you can't figure that out until you're on the phone with me or sitting in front of me in my office. The third reason why I don't list our prices on the internet here at Cressy Sports Performance is because I need a phone call, extensive interaction, a lot of Q&A as an opportunity for me to understand not just the needs of the client, but the personality of the client and who they may fit best with when they show up. I want to make sure that the client is paired with the best case scenario coaching style, coaching personality, coaching approach when they walk through the door on day one, because we're not going to get a second chance to make that first impression. And if somebody just called my office and said, I want to book an initial evaluation, and my office manager, Stacy, said, are you familiar with our prices? And they said, yeah, I know the cost. I saw it on the internet. Mondays are best for me. It'd be pretty easy for her to just say, all right, 5 o'clock's available. And we may have a terrified housewife come through the door and be paired with Tony Bonvecchio with his shaved head and his goatee and his big arms and his tattoos. And it could have been an obvious opportunity to pair that person with Nancy Newell, who's got a much softer approach and might be more welcoming to that type of client. But I can't do that if I don't have an opportunity to profile the person a little bit on the phone. If I fail to create the perfect opportunity, or what I assume to be the perfect opportunity, to sync a staff member up with a potential client on day one, it dramatically increases the likelihood that they either buy less sessions and start with a smaller frequency that's not going to allow us to make a really impactful improvement over the course of a month, or they just plain don't come back. It's rare that we don't convert following an initial assessment, but if we fail to do so, I can say with 100% certainty it's because there was a personality mismatch on day one, and the way to avoid that is to get people on the phone. Make them call you to give them your pricing structure. So let's do a quick recap here. The first reason we're not putting our prices on the internet: I want people to call me so that I can make sure that they are plugged into the most appropriate service offering that we have here. It's easy for them to jump to conclusions if they're self-educating on our website, and I want to make sure that boot campers are appropriately fit for that program, afternoon clients are the right people to be in that scenario, and one-time consults are coming for as little or as long as they need to. You just can't come to those conclusions without having an actual conversation. The second reason is that there are often huge misconceptions about what we do. And if people are making the mistake of assuming that you are similar to a commercial gym and you are anything but that, you're not going to be able to convince people if all they're doing is looking at your website. And the third reason, and I think possibly the most important, is that I want to make sure that potential clients who come through the door are set up for success from day one. And success starts with having appropriate personality pairings with my staff and clients on the training floor, in the office during the screening process, and so on. So it's really important. I want to get people on the phone. I want to get people to sit down at my desk and talk to me. And I want to make sure that the language I've used on my website, which has got to be generic in nature, isn't the only thing that's closing business for me. That's it for this week. I'll see you all next Thursday.